Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Dorsey, the founder of Mental Canvas, and I'm joined today by Sam Nassour, a senior visual development artist, and we're going to introduce you to Mental Canvas, what we think of as drawing reimagined. And it's really a pleasure to be here at Lightbox. And the way I'm going to structure this presentation is we're going to have three parts. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Mental Canvas is and its origins. Then we're going to shift over to the fun part, which is where Sam's going to live draw and show us several scenes he's developed in Mental Canvas and sort of give us a broad strokes overview of the software. And then we'll end with a Q&A session. So with that, let me get started. So I am a computer science professor at Yale. I want to say a little bit about my background to give you a sense of where Mental Canvas came from. I've been a researcher in the computer graphics field for over 20 years, and my research really spans a variety of different areas in the field of computer graphics, ranging from physically based digital appearance modeling to geometric modeling to image-based modeling. And very recently, I've been focused a lot on developing tools that really bring the full power of computers to artists, and in particular, digital drawing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So our vision at Mental Canvas is to enhance visual communication by fundamentally elevating the way people draw. So drawing is an amazing and fundamental tool for creativity and communication, but it's a medium that hasn't advanced that much. The drawing today on a computer isn't that different than it was during the Renaissance. So our focus at Mental Canvas is really about breathing new life into the medium of drawing by making it more than it ever was on paper. So this is an example of a Mental Canvas drawing. I like to say that Mental Canvas picks up where pen and paper leave off. This is a drawing of Grand Central Station in New York City, which was created with Mental Canvas. And Mental Canvas, one of the key characteristics is that it combines the ease and fluidity of pencil sketching with new expansive 3D capabilities and the ability to create a drawing that can change over time. So this drawing, which didn't take that much more effort than a sort of standard drawing, tells you much more about Grand Central than a traditional drawing ever could. And a key point is that the artist who created the scene didn't approach it as a CAD model. Rather, they approached it as a natural extension of the traditional drawing process. Here's another example. This is a scene designed by shop architects. And again, this is an example it's a very detailed drawing, but a drawing in Mental Canvas, a detailed drawing like this can tell you so much more information than a single static view ever could. So I want to say something about where does Mental Canvas sit in the artist's toolbox? So today's tools for artists really span 2D and 3D. When I have an axis here, 2D to 3D, and then horizontally, I have final specifications over on the left and conceptual sketching on the right. And I'm just going to say a little bit about each of these four quadrants. So down here on the right, we have the freehand concept sketch, which is where ideation begins. It's fluid and flexible, but 2D. And concepts usually flow from right to left, where a concept sketch might turn into something that's like 2D CAD or something that's a vector drawing that's much more precise. And then later, moving up, we have in the upper quadrant, we have 3D CAD systems of a variety of forms. So while CAD offers you the ability to change viewpoint, and it's fully 3D, CAD models are extraordinarily time-consuming to create, and they lack the kind of quickness and fluidity that drawing provides. So mental canvas occupies a unique position in this art toolbox in that it offers the sort of freedom and flexibility of conceptual sketching with brand new expansive capabilities. So even really simple art can be extended or enjoyed or expanded in new ways in mental canvas. And just to kind of give you a flavor for how the system's organized and how it works, I'm going to show some basic refrigerator art and how in just a few seconds we can transform that art into something much more interesting than a traditional sketch. So here the artist is drawing a basic house and a path in front and a tree to the side. Now, all of these strokes are just sitting on a transparent canvas. Now we can go in and select some of those strokes like the tree. And using our projection tools, we can reposition those strokes and notice that they look the same as they did from the original view that they were drawn from. And now we're going to take the strokes that comprise the path and we're going to reproject those. And you can see with just a couple moves, we now have this three-dimensional sketch. And now we can pick up our pen and go to a new view and continue to draw in situ. And below on the bottom, we have some key views, which we call bookmarks, views of our drawing, and we can save a few of those views very quickly. And then we can create a quick animatic of that sketch. So that just gives you a rough idea of how the system works. I've shown you so far how we can author in mental canvas, what that experience is like. And of course, Sam was going to show you much more about that in a few minutes. But I want to speak to what's interesting about the drawings that are produced by mental canvas. I've just shown you some videos, but what's cool is what's created is actually an interactive, immersive spatial drawing. That is, it can be experienced just as it's drawn. So the viewer can drive to a new viewpoint and so on, and you can sort of get different perspectives, so to speak, on the drawing, which is entirely new. And it's something that's very exciting and powerful. I call this kind of drawing a spatial, interactive spatial drawing, for lack of a better term. So what mental canvas creates is, our outputs is something that shares qualities and sits between a video, 2D art, and an interactive game. And I'm going to show you several examples in a few minutes, but first I want to say something about the output and how it could be used. So these days, everybody's walking around with a multi-touch device. And this kind of spatial drawing really lends itself well to being consumed on that kind of device. And so things that you might think about using a spatial drawing for are things like ebooks and visual novels, comics, news, advertising, educational materials, and so on. And I want to just show you a few examples of things that we've done so far. So one obvious application for mental canvas is in the area of ideation and design, whether it's product design, such as apparel, or architectural design or spatial design for movies or for buildings or cityscapes. Other applications are more on the media side, storytelling. So several media outlets have used mental canvas to tell stories ranging from what it's like to experience the impeachment chamber, that was actually for the first impeachment, to things like bodies in the San Francisco Bay, to, I guess these are now trending more towards the morbid subjects, to things like crime scenes. The London Times did a beautiful story in which they took really, really gory, a set of really gory crime scene photos, and with the help of the illustrator Veronica Lawler, turned them into a series of illustrations and an interactive experience that allowed the viewer to experience the crime scene and the various clues as they were placed in a way that's abstract and interactive, and really brought the story to life, even though it's kind of morbid. We've also applied mental canvas in the areas of comics and animation. These are examples done by the illustrator Rena Piccolo. One is an example in immersive comics for the strip Rhymes with Orange, and the other is a series that'll be coming out soon involving the character Olive Oil from Popeye in partnership with King Features. We've also used mental canvas in the area of advertising, where the mental canvas scene can house products and display products, and then allow a viewer to actually interact with the scene in which those products are done in a way that is abstracted and illustrated, and then allows the user to link out to websites. So I'm gonna stop sharing right now, and my colleague, Rebecca Resnick, is going to show you an example of the House Beautiful scene. This is a scene that was done for the Kitchen of the Year in House Beautiful magazine, a Hearst publication. And here, the Kitchen of the Year is shown as an interactive mental canvas scene. You can see that this shows a range of different displays, from hand-drawn stroke to photographs and renderings which depict products in situ. And if you want to learn more, you can select one of the products and go out to a website. And what we found that's really cool about this is that people are spending a lot more time. It's a much more way to engage a space and to interact with it and explore it. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so at Mental Canvas, we're really committed to bringing these new capabilities to artists and designers and elevating the medium of drawing. And to deliver on this vision, a big part of it is we are calling on the community to help us reimagine drawing. And we're putting on a major $100,000 competition to reimagine drawing. We call it the Reimagined Drawing Challenge. It's $100,000 in prizes. There'll be 18 winners. And we're announcing today that we're going to extend the deadline. We've been so completely overwhelmed by the quality of the work that's been posted to date on Instagram and other platforms that we're now extending from early October to early November. This is the challenges in partnership with Microsoft, Hearst, and others. And we're making, as part of the challenge, a promotional version available of our software. It's available now on the Microsoft and Apple iOS stores. It requires a device, a multi-touch device with pen. And we hope you'll download it and try the software and join the challenge. As part of the main $100,000 challenge, we're also running a series of mini challenges, typically week-long challenges around particular themes. These are the first 3 winners. We'll be announcing another winner early next week. The first challenge was your first mental canvas scene, about beginnings. Then we moved on to showing some process. And then recently we focused on comics and graphic novels. So stay tuned for mini challenges coming up, but please join our challenge. We were really excited to see what the community will do with Mental Canvas. So I want to now hand over the floor to Sam Nassour, who's one of the first Mental Canvas users. He approached me when he saw something on the internet and was really eager to get started. Sam is a very highly accomplished visual development artist, currently at Rovio Entertainment in Helsinki. And previously he was an art director and visual development artist at the Cartoon Network, DreamWorks, Netflix Animation, and others. And with that, let me hand it off to Sam.
Thank you, Julie. So is my iPad in view right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like Julie mentioned, when I first saw Mental Canvas, there was like a city scene online, and it's like, it looks like a sketch, but for some, but in a second it turns into like a dynamic 3D sketch in a way, and it's really pulled me to it. Like I wanted to know more, like because I felt like this is something that I really wanted to do, is to create freehand rough sketches, but have them in a dimensional environment. I really love that concept, because I used to do like 3D modeling and all of that, but it just doesn't have the freedom of creating as you would on a paper. So yeah, this is where I discovered this software, and now it was first not available on iPad, and now it's recently available for a lot of different platforms. So exactly what like Julie was saying, it's I like the phrase getting inside the drawing. So for example, this is a sketch of a mermaid on a rock, but the Mental Canvas environment is so expansive that you don't have to be stuck with this sketch. You can expand it further and even draw like what's behind, and zoom in, zoom out, and even create like a scene that is fully immersive. And like I mentioned, it's not like it doesn't have the limitation of having to model something in 3D, because here is like you can sketch roughly in different planes. And I will show you a little bit about how you can create different levels. But this is the beauty of having kind of a limitless environment where you can sketch anywhere and explore different parts of your world. Again, with the very free, with the same freedom of sketching with a pencil. So this is like an island scene that I was exploring, and if you look up, you can see the beach. You can even place like even the smallest elements. So yeah, we started with like a mermaid on a rock, and then the same scene can be taken anywhere. And Julie mentioned something also about this bookmarks at the bottom, so we can go back to any section of the world or the scene, if you want to call it that. And you can create like an animation between these frames as well, and you can export that. So this is pretty amazing. It opens the door for a lot of creative uses. For example, like telling a story, maybe deciding on like a storyboard or like a world where the action takes place in different sections of the scenes, and then you can place maybe the cameras in different places and then decide what happens in each shot. But now we have a full 3D environment to control and navigate. So if I want to add something here, in the background, I can just click this button here, which is add a new canvas. And you can see here this like blue representation where the canvas would be. So think about it as like a sheet of paper that is infinite, and it's represented by this blue rectangle, but it's basically infinite. So you can just pan around and decide where this paper will be in 3D. So will it be behind the mountain or will it be in front? And then if I just confirm that, so if I draw any line now, let's say a bird or something. So this bird now is in 3D space, as you can see. So it creates this really beautiful dimensional sketch. And of course, later you can continue working on these scenes and just refine them further. And that's what's cool about having layers, because every canvas is basically its own PSD file, if you want to, if you will. Like each canvas has its own set of layers. So you can open the layers panels and panel and then control the opacity of a certain layer. And as you would in Photoshop or other programs, you can sketch on top just to refine it further if I want to have a, you can have a pencil tool here. Just go over the same drawing. You can spend like a lot more time on it, but you get the idea. And yeah, that's what's nice about having layers, because every one of these sketches is like, let's say the crab here. If I navigate to the canvas here, so this is the crab. So behind the crab, there's like a white layer, which kind of creates this blocking from the background. There's a nice tool as well if you like, you didn't find the right canvas. There's this tool here where you can find the canvas that you want to work on. So you can click around and it kind of shows you, it highlights the canvas that you want to work on. So if I want to work on the boat, you choose that. So it directly goes there, and you can isolate a certain canvas as well, which is something that is really useful. If you don't want to see all of these details, you just want to focus on something specific. So you can turn everything off basically by clicking that eye icon here on the corner. So now you just have that boat to focus on and no distractions. And then when you're finished, you can go back to the full thing. Yes, it was really awesome to explore the scene and have fun with it. I can show you other scenes as well. But that's the beauty of like getting inside the drawing. So let's see some other examples. So this is an example where it shows that you can use your own artwork in Metal Canvas. So you don't have to start with, you don't have to be locked within the software, because, well, let me show you here what I mean. For example, I will pick this frog canvas, yeah. So here we have it. In the drawing tools, we have the basic like pencil, brush, etc. And you have the colors in this window. So you can like choose colors, and if you want to choose a custom color as well, you can do that. But at the same time, if you want to like use like maybe custom brushes that you like to use in Procreate or Photoshop or other software, you can import your own PNG files to Metal Canvas. And also something like having this halo here, this glowing effect. It's basically a transparency that you can have it the same way within Metal Canvas. So that's why I did what I did previously. So the frog, for example, is based on like a lot of custom brushes that I use in Procreate, and I just have to export this as a PNG. So the PNG file supports the transparency, so it just you can import it without the background. And in the Metal Canvas, you can just choose what canvas you want this frog to be imported in, and you open the layers panel, and then you just click on this button and just pick the PNG that you want. So yeah. and you can just position it the way you want. Same thing here with the glow. I just did the same thing by having this like kind of a fancy looking glow that is not easy to get without like the blur tool, for example, here, the Gaussian blur. So this is where I also exported it, and I have it here on top. Yeah, it's and also same thing with these bugs. Everything started as a sketch first, so I didn't even think about colors from the beginning. So if you go to, this is how it started. It was really basic, just placing things around the same way that I showed in the previous scene in the island. So I would move the camera around. So this is like the freeform, the kind of a free camera. You can move it anywhere you want, and then just press this again, the new canvas button, and then decide where it should be. So now I'm positioning it just in the background here. And now I can start sketching something. So just roughly here, I just do this, and then I decide, okay, this is doing like not exactly where I want it to be. So this is where you would want to use this tool, which is the tool that allows you to push the canvas a little bit farther in distance. So I can also see here in this preview window, so how far I'm pushing it back. So it kind of gives you a nice preview before you committing. So now we hit OK and continue just adding details, etc. And then just a bit further, I turn it into something like this. And then again, you can add any extra details you want. The idea is not to create like a 3D model, like Julie mentioned. It's about creating an illustration or a drawing that you can navigate through. So these edges are not necessarily perfectly aligned, but that's not the goal here. So it's an amazing tool for storytelling. If you want to like maybe kind of save some bookmarks here and just maybe tell a story by just moving the camera around. Maybe I want to put like a monster behind the cave wall here and just maybe play around with other creatures that exist in this cave or something like that. So it really opens the door. Like if you want to put a bat here or whatever creature anywhere in the scene, you can navigate to it. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And later, if I want to add like maybe some more painterly details, I can always use Procreate to import my PNGs into here. You can also use the coloring tools within Mental Canvas. So if I select the frog here, open the layers just to check if this is the layer I want. Yeah. You can obviously use the pencil here and just use the color picker. So I can choose the color, the same green here or the blue or whatever. So now I have the same color, and I can even like, let's say on a new layer, I can start painting some details. Lower the opacity, just play around with some textures or details. Yeah, pretty much exactly like you would in any 2D drawing software, but now you have the amazing kind of feeling of 3D. And again, I can isolate this one, so I can just use it without any distractions here. And yeah, I think I can show another scene as well. for example, let me, before showing other scenes, let me just maybe try to add something in this the foreground, maybe here. So you can choose, again, any view you want and create a canvas based on that view. So it will kind of give you, like, as you would be like looking through it, you know, the same view that you were looking through, it will be the new canvas. So now I can add, oops. Whatever creature in the foreground here, I can block it out first, maybe like a snake or something. And then I can use the layers to refine it further. So yeah, that would be the workflow that I would do. You can also duplicate elements that you already have it. So if I choose with the picker, this tool that picks the canvas, I'm choosing this rock formation here. I can use that as a starting point and just duplicate another one based on it. So basically you just have to go to the drawing tool and select, use the selection tool to have this highlighted, and then you can duplicate it into a new canvas. So now I'm moving this away, and it gives me this new created copy of it. I can also use the selection tools to move things around as well. And I'm going to hide this white part here. Okay. Cool. I hope my hand wasn't hiding most of the screen. So let's see another scene here. This is a sketch I've been also working on for my trip to Rome. I wanted to create like a sense of depth that I felt by looking at these rooftops. So obviously a sketch like this wouldn't give you the same feeling. But now you can, let me first hide this bird. Okay. There are plenty of these little sketches of drawings of birds that I didn't finish yet. So yeah, it doesn't give you the right feeling, the same feeling when you just do a sketch like that. Now now basically you can navigate around these rooftops and zoom in to the smallest details and have fun with it. It's a different feeling. You can see here this dove here that I didn't finish yet. This is exactly what I was doing, like just roughly placing things in perspective or like in 3D space. And then later on, I can polish them around. So it doesn't have to be perfect at the beginning, you know, you can just place things roughly in 3D space. And then later on, you can even take them to Procreate and bring them back if you want to make it like an amazing, I don't know, like with brushes and gradients, all of that. But it really starts as simple as just sketching. This is the famous square in Rome, in Piazza Venezia. So you can reach the crazy level of detail here. Again, I can use this canvas picking tool because sometimes the number of canvases can be a bit crazy. So now it's helping you choose which one. Yeah, I got it. So now I have this bird, for example. I can continue working on it. And the nice thing is that when you switch to the brush tool, kind of centers your drawing. And now I can rezoom and choose the pencil, for example, and a nice small brush. Continue adding detail. And then I can go back to the camera view, and now I have this full 3D scene to play with. Again, it doesn't have to look perfect from every angle. That's not the point, I think. I have this bird here, for example, flying around. I can come back to it, pick the canvas, create a layer and drag it underneath. Now I can use any, like maybe white in this example, just to block some background behind it. Lower the brush size and just paint a bit here. Okay, so now I have this bird, just hiding what is behind it. And yeah, I want to have fun with this even further. I want to add some stories. Maybe in each window, there's something happening. And you can use, again, those bookmarks to add some, just to have a record of different parts of your scene. I can show another one here. Okay, another one that is architectural. Is this also a scene from Rome? And I like the feeling that there's this gate and you go through it and you get to that big square. So from outside, you just basically see this big gate, right? Like it's a classical, full of detail, which I didn't draw yet. But when you go through it, it gives you this really beautiful, expansive, large square. It's full of like beautiful architecture and like fountains and all of that. So I wanted to create the same feeling here in Metal Canvas. So it really felt the same when you go through it and you can see this big obelisk here and the twin churches. And yeah, I added some people here in the foreground as well. And yeah, for example, for something like the people here, just to show you what I did here. So in front of this big gate, I would just create a new canvas and move it just in front using this preview window, just move it a bit in front of the gate. And I have, let's say, this group of people that I drew separately, just on one canvas right now, right? So just having them placed roughly here. So now if you move the camera around, they are just, all of them are on the same level. If I want to separate them, like Julie showed in the example, you can basically use the selection tools that are here. I can select this person and move him to a separate canvas. So basically I'm separating him from the group, and I can use the window again to push him towards us, towards the camera. Click OK. And I can continue doing this for all of these people here. So the guy here with the motorbike, move him away. Yeah. I like how the tools are really easy and accessible here on top. So now we have this parallax effect between these people, and you can always push it further if you want to. I think maybe it's better if we do. So I can go back to the same, to this person, which is now on a separate canvas, and push him even further. Again, this preview is really handy, so I can even make it bigger and see if this is exactly the feeling that you want to get. Now we have even more space between him and the others. You can see this kind of effect. And yeah, this is like how you start with it. My own workflow, I'd like to start really simple and not spend time on one particular part. Once I have this kind of layout established and the relationship between the different elements is it feels good according to my what I want to achieve, then I can start adding details and worry about that. So I can even open the image here and spend time later on. This is all the pictures that I took from this place. So you can later look at these, look at any references and choose the right canvas here. Let's say this is the gate, and use this split screen to have the reference next to you. So you can.
This is amazing. I think I know people have questions, so why don't we open up to Q&A?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, actually, one thing I want to show before we do that is my colleague Rebecca Resnick is just going to show a short video. This was developed by an architect and illustrator in New York City, Carol Shung, who is one of the first mental canvas users in the early days. And what this shows is really the ability of mental canvas to tell stories. And so we're just going to run this and then we'll open up to questions. Okay, great. Thanks, Rebecca. So you can find many more examples of this type on our website, and I invite you to explore that. But with the remaining time, we'd love to hear your questions.
So I see a question in the Q&A, and there's also a question in the chat. So in the Q&A, Alice is asking, said, "This is so cool. Can you remind me where I can find information about the competition?" And in the chat, an artist is asking if they could import assets they created in other software like Procreate, and if that would still be qualified for the competition.
Yeah, so you can find more information about the challenge on our website. It's prominently featured, and note that as of today, we're extending the deadline to November 8th, and we'll be updating the site shortly and also posting on social media early next week. Yes, you can work with other applications, just as Sam showed how he imported something from Procreate here. That's fair game. You can bring in photographs or art you created elsewhere and bring it into Mental Canvas and incorporate it into a scene. That's all fair game. The only thing you'll note in the rules is that it has to be your art or art that you hold the rights to. Is there a way to make this into a physical object? No. This is a drawing system, and it's really not about metric correctness. You could certainly position our sketches relative to things, like you could start with a kind of rough model and bring in a set of images and create sketches around them, but we don't create 3D models.
Okay, I see someone's hand is raised, so I'll open that up.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I didn't know how it worked. I just also typed my question, but I just wanted to ask if there's a way to import GIFs or video files created in like other software like Procreate.
Right now you can bring in images or like a Photoshop layer stack, but we don't allow right now to the ability to import video or other assets. That'll be coming in the future though.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great question from Alice. She hasn't used Mental Canvas before. Will you have enough time to learn it before the challenge? So I think the system is not that hard to use. The story I just showed by Carol Shum. Carol Shum is a self-described Luddite who has little to no use for computers and was, sort of loves to sketch on paper, but actually when I showed her Mental Canvas, it took her very little time to begin using the system. And in our mini challenges, which we've done in the last few weeks, we've had people who picked up the system and, at the beginning of the week and submitted a winning entry to the mini challenge by the end of the week. So it's certainly possible to learn to use the system quickly. And with the deadline in November, you absolutely have time to master the system. And that's one of the reasons that we are extending the deadline, is because we want more engagement with the community. We want to be able to hold webinars and to really, by the end, have a group of really accomplished and competent Mental Canvas users. And one of the things also I would add is just that you learn a lot by seeing how other people use the system. There is no one way to use this software, one workflow. So the more I see of people using the system, the more I learn about potential applications. I learn new ways of seeing things. So there are lots of possibilities. And again, you can learn a lot from the tutorials, but also from seeing what other people are doing. And in the future, we're going to be posting more kind of behind the scene looks at some of the scenes you've seen. And we're even looking at maybe having a couple artists show you their work in the way that Sam has here. Like, here's how I created this scene, as a means of helping people learn how to use the system. Oh, so it's actually pretty quick to make a little animatic with the system. Sam right now is, kind of, he's actually drawing at the moment, but it's relatively easy. Along the bottom, there's a small camera, and you can basically, that's creating a bookmark. It's a keyframe, if you will. And now Sam just went to a new view and took another picture. He's creating a set of views there along the bottom. So he's now has a third or fourth, and you can just remove things also. And there's also under the hood here, there's a little bit more detail in terms of changing the ordering of things and the timing and so on, but it's really quick. And then you can play through your animation or animatic, and then you can also export it either to video, or you can export the whole scene and bookmarks to our web player, which allows you to both play this pre-planned sequence, but also to explore the scene interactively. And this is one of the things that was in the chat, but I'll just say it again, that there are two things you can export from Mental Canvas. You could export a video at different aspect ratios and resolutions and post on Instagram, for example, but you can also export to our web player. So then you could actually post an interactive experience for other people to share. Someone just asked about platforms. Right now, we're on iOS, iPad, and also Windows devices with pen and touch. So any Windows PC with pen and touch. Okay, I think we're just about out of time. Thank you all very much for attending. Feel free to follow up with us by sending questions to support or info@mentalcanvas.com. Check out the challenge. We hope that you'll download the software and consider entering. Thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.